Just as nicely as you like, Tammy Abraham has slotted into life in Rome, living in the Italian capital and playing his football for Roma, who are doing it none too shabbily in the league out there, under, of course, Jose Mourinho. And Tammy spoke to talkSPORT this week, and Trevor, he is doing well and was delighted to speak to talkSPORT. He's labelled Mourinho the best manager in the world, and he credits his tough love management style with getting the very best out of him. This was Tammy.
You know, Mourinho he's a character that we all know. You know, for me, there's a reason why I call him the best manager in the world. You know, he knows how to drive you, he knows how to get under your skin, and he knows how to make you feel like you're a very special player at times. You know, and you know, he will never tell you. For me, it's just about, I always want to do my best for him. You know, I always want to do my best. He pushes me to do my best. You know, even when I feel like I've done enough, he tells me I need to do more. I experienced him once when I was at Chelsea. When I was a little kid, I went to train with the first team, and you know, he was always hard on me. He was always pushing me to, you know, to bet on myself. And you know, I feel like I'll do something right, but he'll tell me to do it better. Just little things like that. And for me, that's exactly what I needed. You know, that push, that drive, especially after having, you know, the season I had, which was difficult at Chelsea. You know, wasn't playing, wasn't getting much game time. You know, to come here to have a manager to push you, to believe in you, you know, a coach like Mourinho to believe in you, only gives you more confidence.
Well, it's good, and it's working out for Tammy Abraham. He's doing extremely well. This tough love approach from Jose, Trevor, it doesn't work for everybody. It might work for Tammy. Did it work for Luke Shaw? Maybe
no,
not. Dele
not.
Alli? Maybe not.
Well, Simon's argument was Luke Shaw benefited from the way that Mourinho treated him after Mourinho had left. I think that we've got a recording of that somewhere down the line. But what I would say is,
we'll find that, Trevor. I think be assured.
The biggest supporter you've got are your parents, and they're quite harsh with you, you know. And I think in the same kind of way, when you've got a young player like Tammy, who's done well at various clubs, Chelsea did okay, still a developing player, but they never say they're satisfied. They always want to drive you and push you on more and get more out of you as a kid. And I think that's what his man management style's like. Listen, I've been in his company, Jose, and he is a very humble man, and you can understand why a lot of players would like to play for him and why he's been very successful. I just feel his style of management is becoming dated now, and he's not so much evolved with the new breed of managers. But obviously Tammy likes him, and he's certainly producing the goods for Roma.
Would you like to have played for Mourinho? Is he your kind of manager?
I think so, yeah, because one, he always manages good clubs with good players, but also at times you don't want an arm around you all the time. I don't mind a manager kicking me up the backside and saying, we need more from you. Let's have a look at the stats. Let's have a look. Let's analyse this. Go into detail, because I'm sure he's very due diligent with what he says to players, and he makes sure he doesn't just blow off hot wind. He says things for a reason. So I would like that kind of manager who's get to the detail. Now you do your part.
But you say he's dated. I mean, does that mean he's dated a bit for the Premier League? Could he be jousting today with Pep and Klopp and the rest?
Possibly, if he had the right squad. But I just think we seen Simeone last night. He's got a squad that's probably nowhere near as good as Manchester City's. So he averted to a shape and a formation that could compete. It was 1-0. If them teams went at each other like they didn't know each other, never seen each other play before, and they went at each other tongue and level, Manchester City would have murdered them. Would have murdered Atletico Madrid. But the fact that Simeone knows that Manchester City, man for man, are a better team, he's gone, right, what's the best way I can get a solution and get a result out of this? And the way that he thought is deep, 2 blocks of 5, and we'll defend deep. We'll take it to late into the second leg, and then we'll see if we can catch him.
Now, Simon, to be fair to you, it's no surprise I would have thought to you that Tammy's done so well, because you were saying one day you could see this kid play for Barcelona. That kind of height could be hit.
I think he's a very good player, and I think that he was going to perform well in Roma, and he has performed well in Roma. And I look at the Mourinho argument. I've never entirely understood it based upon the dated concept. The only argument I can advance in favour of the dated ideal is that he will not acquiesce to the culture of allowing players to behave precisely as they want. Now, if that's an evolution of the game, then it's a very sad state of affairs, because characters like Trevor, and I think the component you were asking, Trevor, is, you know, how do you respond to a manager like that? Certain players with real character will rise to a manager that demands the very best from them, calls them out in equal measure, praise and criticism. Those that are weak, lily-livered players that often, you know, can't cope with the reality and vagaries of life, let alone being a football player, are the ones that complain the most about the reality of Mourinho being quite strident in his views. And then we have our delightful media that spin up a narrative around Mourinho about what he is and what he isn't. And I think he's still an elite manager. Is he still in the same space as Guardiola and Klopp? Well, it's very difficult to argue that point now, isn't it? Because his managerial career isn't in ascent. His teams aren't winning leagues. So you can't advance that argument. But to say he's dated primarily...
He's not in the same...
No, you can't say that he is.
But the game's evolved. The game's evolved, and I think it's a much different game to sitting back and soaking pressure up. I think now the best teams are on the front foot. They dominate possession. They win the ball back quickly, high up the pitch, and that's how they play. I don't see Mourinho's teams trying that.
That's an assumption that Mourinho's first teams certainly did do that, and I think you can only work with what you've got. Yeah. So there is an element of, when he went to Tottenham, what were Tottenham going to do? Tottenham didn't have the capability to be able to do things in a certain way, and that team was beginning to age and become a little bit dysfunctional. So he had to break it up a little bit. Now, obviously you go behind the scenes, and in typical sort of Mourinho commentary or narrative, only he could get taken out of a job on the eve of a cup final that Tottenham hadn't been in. So it sort of fuels the agenda against Mourinho. I think he's one of the elite managers of our generation. I still think he has a lot to offer. I personally don't subscribe to the view that calling players out for what they are is dated. I think it's character forming, and good players, as long as he's fair. If he's not fair, that's a different dynamic.
Why he's not in the same conversation the likes of Klopp and Pep, who both won last night in the Champions League, is perfectly highlighted by this. Tomorrow night, the Roma are in Norway playing Bodo Glimt in the Europa Conference League. Their nemesis previously.
Yep.
So that's the difference.
Oh yes, and the same Tottenham side that played under Conte that got knocked out by Mura.
I'm not talking about Conte, I'm talking about Mourinho.
But we're talking about conversations where people are perceived to be elite managers.
But they're playing in the Europa Conference League tomorrow night.
Conte's an elite manager,
and that's not me in the media making that up.
No. But again, Conte's an elite manager, but his Tottenham side got knocked out by Mura, didn't they?
Yeah.
And they were minnows, weren't they? So Conte's an elite manager, Mourinho's a busted flush.
And then COVID derailed their last game.
Narrative. Yeah. Of course it's a narrative against Mourinho.
But I think he likes that. I think
he's got no bloody choice with it, has he?
Yeah. Simon loves Mourinho. He was fawning all over him when he came in this building.
Well, we both know that's not true. I don't fawn over anyone.
Quite sad. Several members of security said to me, "You want to have seen him when we brought him in." It's 12 noon.
Jim White and Simon Jordan. Monday to Friday mornings from 10 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.